Good morning, Rowan. I hope you've been having fun working on your fantastic row houses. Today, we are going to be doing the last part of our row houses. So yours should look like this. This is Mr. Warner's example. He didn't quite put in his details yet, but it should have 3 houses, one full one, part of another, should be up against the water. And we are going to be adding the final details with colored pencils. So the supplies that you're going to need are your drawing and your colored pencils. I want you to grab whatever colored pencils you have available to you. Before we get started coloring in our row houses, I want to show you a couple of photos and drawings of row houses that have color. I want you to just see how they do the windows. Some of them do them light, some of them have them pretty dark. Some of them have the bottom part of the buildings filled with oranges and yellows to say that there is light. I think that's what I'm going to do with mine, that I'm going to have some of my windows with yellow and orange to show that there's a light on in the room behind. I want you to see all the texture for the different materials that are used for these houses. So we have, in the photographs, we have the different texture for the brick and the tile roofs. And you can see here in the illustrations that they choose different kind of color palettes. They choose 1 or 2 colors that are the main color of the building, and then usually an accent color. So you can see here we have 2 different kinds of green with white for the door, or you can see we have a couple different kinds of reds, and then they use gray. So my recommendation is that as you are filling in your houses, you choose a couple of colors for that house so it will stand out from the others, and then you choose another set of colors for the houses next to it. I'm going to record my drawing and coloring of it. I'm going to put most of it on fast forward because this is a process that's just going to take a while. I want you to take your time, maybe spend 15 minutes a day working on this, or 20, unless you really get into it and you want to do an hour and a half and just be done. Whatever you want to do, I just don't want it rushed because we've spent so much time putting in the details for our drawings here. You might want your Sharpie marker and your pencil if you decide, oh, I have a couple windows that I didn't put anything in, and I finally decided what I want that to be. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to do the top part of this back chimney roof. I'm going to choose a slate color, which is like a blue-gray, and I'm going to start filling it in. Now, a couple of tips for when you're filling in color with colored pencil or even with markers. It's really nice and the end results look better when you just do the coloring in one direction. So a couple of these spots I can go over it horizontally, but mostly I'm just drawing vertically. I'm going up and down, filling in those areas that I missed. Now this is mostly one coat. I can continue to go over it one more time to darken it up. But then I could also choose, I'm going to choose my silver gray, and I want to make this a little bit grayer for the slate color. And so I'm just going to do one layer on top. I'm going to repeat this on this part of the roof here as well. Filling in all of the area will make complete. As Mr. Warner says, don't let your underpants show, right? So you fill in all of the white space. We don't want to see any left over. When making decisions about how to color a house or your whole drawing, it's nice to be able to focus on just one thing at a time. So I'm going to stick to this building before I go on to the next. If I press harder with my colored pencils, not so hard that they break, but harder, they make a really nice saturated, filled with pigment, so a bright colored space. I think I'm going to do like a red brick against the blue slate. I think that will look really nice. So I'm going to pull out some of my reds and we'll use some of the browns with it. I'm going to do a little bit of a cream trim. All those extra layers that we did around the windows and parts of the structure, we want to fill those in a separate color so we don't lose those details. So I'm going to go ahead and do that around all my windows. One thing you're probably going to want for this project, which I didn't mention before, is a pencil sharpener. So maybe you have a nice electric pencil sharpener. I have a handheld one here, which comes in handy so that I don't have to leave the table. I'm going to choose the basic color of the outside before I color in the extra details around my doors and my shutters. Now that is a base color of this reddish brown. I'm going to go in with my second brown and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my lines the other direction. And I'm going to start to make them look like there might be a little bit of a brick texture. You could use a ruler to put some of those lines in if you want. So you can see what a difference that makes from just the background color. That might just be enough without putting any other vertical lines to be good enough. So we're going to wait and I'm going to color in my shutters. I'm going back to that same blue that I used on top. So we can see what that looks like. I'm going to, I think maybe I'll go one step lighter with a blue that's a little bit lighter, and I'm going to go around the door on the bottom. And I'm going to do the door up here as well. So we have this house with our blues and our kind of reddish browns. I pulled out my marker to give my window up on top a little bit more detail. I'm going to take my yellows, a nice yellow and a lighter orange, and I'm going to use those inside my windows down below in my shop to make it look like there's lights and there are things going on. I'm going to outline my open shop in red. Window. This is my open sign in red so it stands out. I've got my flowers in a vase. I'm going to leave my vase white, but I'm going to make my flowers pink. I'm putting in an overhead light here. This feels like a friendly little shop where the lights are on and we're going to want to go and visit. I'm going to put shades across this one. I have curtains up here. My window upstairs, I'm just going to go across it like this in diagonal so it just looks like there's a reflection off of it like glass. I'll let you see that up close so you can see, but no light behind it. I think the last little part that I will do is just put some vertical lines in between my horizontal for the brick. The key to doing brick is that the vertical lines that you put in, I want you to see this, Ron. I've got those horizontal lines, those are the laying down ones, and these vertical ones, the key to making it look like brick is that they don't line up. Okay, so I have these up vertical lines on the second row, and then in between those is where I put the vertical line below it. There's our first house. Now, if you want to take a break and come back to this later on, then I would suggest that you go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can choose a new set of colors for your next house. I am going to choose my gray and I'm going to color in the sidewalk. And the mat in front of this door, I'm going to do in that goldy color. Okay, Rowan, I'm ready for my second house, my house in the middle, and I've decided on a color combination of reds and maybe a dark brown with this teal green highlight. And then of course in some of the windows I might just have it be like the glass window that I made up here with the blue. I'm going to start by filling in the background of the building like I did here with one coat of the reddish color. I'm using a lighter red for the background color in between. I'm going to go one step lighter for the top. I'm going to make the bricks on this bottom part of the building wider than those on this building, so that there's a contrast. We can tell a difference between the two buildings. I'm going to leave the top part of my building smooth. We're going to say that's plaster so that it will contrast with the small brick on this side. I have the inside of my windows to do next. This one I'm going to leave kind of dark without a light, and it's just going to be filled in like I did this one, where just you can see a reflection of the glass, but there isn't anything, there isn't necessarily a light on. This is my lamp, so I will have that. This is my fresh bread in the window. So there we have our second building. You can see the lights, the rooms with the bright light, that is yellow and orange. My little bread shop bakery with the coffee poster. We have the lights on for that. You can see a little kitty cat, and they have a window upstairs with 2 coffee mugs and then one with flowers, but the light isn't on behind it. That leaves us with our last house that we're going to work on. I definitely want a red roof on that one, so I'll start with that. I want it to be red and orange. And I'm going to do a dark red at the top of each tile, because that's where the shadow will be from the overlapping. I'm going to fill these in lightly with red and go over them with orange. I'm going to use these colors for highlighting areas around the house, and I think I'll make the base of the house mostly light browns. there's my third house. You can see I put 2 little chairs and a lamp in there. We have our steps and our door with the light in the hallway, our cute little dog in a floor level where there are no lights on. And the last little part we have to do is this part of the dock and the water. For this lower part of the sidewalk, I'm doing it a dark brown. I'm doing it all kind of at a diagonal. I put down a light blue, now I'm going to do a little bit darker blue for that second layer of water. So there we have our water, our dock. I think the very last thing that I want to do is add the sky. I think you could either make it nighttime or darker, whatever color you think might be good. I'm even tempted, I'm going to do mine with a marker to finish off my sky. That way it will have a different texture. Than those pencils. There we have it. Rowan, I hope you had fun making our architectural drawings that used all sorts of different texture, visual texture, from small brick to large block to smooth areas, and created different types of roofs, our stepped roof and curved and arched, and our more clay Spanish tiles. I hope you had a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what you've done. Please post it in Seesaw, and I look forward to seeing your project. Have a great week.